How to use touch bar with Photoshop. How to use the touch bar with Photoshop. Photoshop supports touch bar, the multitouch display at the top of the new MacBook Pro keyboard, and using the touch bar you can access Photoshop features and control right in the context of your current task on the main screen. And the touch bar supports familiar gestures and such as tap and drag and slide. Touch bar support in Photoshop is currently a technology preview feature, by the way, and be careful here now. For more information about touch bar fundamentals, see this Apple documentation page. And so what about touch bar interface? Touch bar interface by default, a part of the touch bar interface is reserved for Mac OS system controls, and controls for Photoshop are displayed in the application specific area in the middle of the touch bar interface. Anyway, like this screenshot now, we have A and B and C. And default touch bar interface, A meaning A here now, is meaning Photoshop controls. A is meaning Photoshop controls, A icon is meaning Photoshop controls, and P is meaning Mac OS system controls, and controls strip and escape. Note and be careful. If necessary, you can configure the touch bar to display only application specific controls, and in this configuration the middle and right parts of the touch bar interface be on the right plus A display Photoshop controls. To do so, in the Mac OS system preferences and keyboard dialog, select touch bar shows applications controls. And so what about touch bar modes in Photoshop? What about the touch bar modes in Photoshop? By the way, tap this icon now is meaning in the touch bar to choose one of the three available modes, like layer properties. Layer properties icon default mode lets you work with layer properties and related functions, and brush icon, the brush icon lets you work with brush and paint properties, and the favorite icon is meaning customizable mode to which you can add your favorite controls. And context sensitive operations. What about context sensitive operations? In addition to the commands available in the three modes, several context specific operations become available depending on what you are working on in Photoshop. And when a model tool such as text or transform is active, the touch bar displays OK and cancel. And when you select and mask task space is active, the touch bar, by the way, displays controls related to making selections and Photoshop controls. So what about the Photoshop controls in the touch bar? Photoshop controls in the touch bar, we have many options here now. Default mode using the history panel, and we have icon and control name and description. And default mode using the history panel, all three, and icon will be three dots, then control name will be history scalper, and description works much like the history panel in Photoshop. Uses control to jump to any recent state of the document created during the current session, and each time you apply a change to the document, a new document, by the way, a new document state is added. And tap the history scraper icon to view thumbnails representing document states, and scroll through or tap the thumbnails to navigate the document history. For related useful information, see using the history panel anyway. And the second one will be layer properties. So what about layer properties? It's this icon now, plus and image, this icon, and control name will be add content, the control name, and description will be imports a file into the currently open document using the place embedded command and C place field files. And the third one, this icon, and this icon is meaning layer visibility and opacity, and and the control name will be adjusts the layer opacity and visibility. Use the slider to adjust layer opacity from 0 to 100%, and the buttons at either end of the slider decrease or increase the value by a preset amount. And tap this icon now to hide the layer altogether. And you can use this command by tapping or by simply pressing and holding over the tab gesture, and the changes you make in the touch bar reflect in the layers panel. And fourth one, this icon is meaning blend mode. It lets you scroll through the available blending modes and normal, dissolve, and darken, and select the one you want. For more information, see blending modes. And the last one will be this icon is meaning clipping mask. Clipping mask is makes a layer a clipping mask or revert it from that stage. For more information, see reveal layers with clipping masks. Yes. And this icon is meaning select mask and launches the select and mask workspace color and displays a color picker for foreground color, and the first 16 swatches are displayed by default, by the way. And we have two steps. Step number 1, long press any swatch to get hues. And step number 2, click this hue icon now to make final adjustments by individually adjusting hue, saturation, and brightness HSP. This icon, the second icon, will be meaning brush size. The brush size controls the size of the current brush. This command is active when a brush allowing for multiple sizes is selected. For more information about brush option, see painting tools and create and modify brushes. And the next one will be brush hardness. This icon is meaning brush hardness. Brush hardness is meaning controls the hardness of the current brush. This command is active when a brush that allows multiple hardness values is selected. And the next one is meaning brush opacity. Brush opacity is controls the opacity of the current brush. This command is active when a brush that supports opacity is selected. The second one is meaning brush flow. Brush flow is meaning controls the flow of the current brush. This command is active when a brush that supports flow is selected. And the next favorite icon is meaning screen mode and toggles between the normal screen mode and full screen mode. And the second one, new layer. This icon is meaning new layer, invokes the new layer command. And next one, flip vertical. Flip vertical is meaning flips and flips the content of the current set of selected layers vertically. And the next one will be flip horizontal. Flip horizontal is meaning flips the contents of the current set of selected layers horizontally. And none by default. This icon is meaning none by default. Fill mode. This icon is meaning fill mode. Fill mode invokes the fill command with the content aware. Fill option pre-selected. For more information, use content aware pattern or history fields. And next one will be duplicate layer. Duplicate layer, this icon is meaning duplicate layer. Duplicates the current selected layer, by the way. And second one and the last one, it share. This icon is meaning it share. If you would like to share the preview of the current document state in the JPG format, the maximum shareable size will be 1024 multiply 1024 pixels. Okay. Anyway, you can add these controls to the touch bar modes by customize the touch bar modes. So what about customize the touch bar modes? How to customize the touch bar modes? If you'd like to customize the touch bar modes, we have many steps. Preferences. What's the meaning of preferences? By the way, Photoshop provides three settings for the touch bar under preferences, then technology preview. These settings are enabled by default, by the way. And so what about enable touch bar? Enable touch bar enables or disables you the touch bar while working in Photoshop. Enable touch bar will enable or disable the touch bar while working in Photoshop. So what about show touch bar property adjustments? Show touch bar property adjustments shows or hides will shows or hides you the informational pop-up windows displayed when you modify and properties such as brush size or using the touch bar. And how to add and delete comments from the touch bar. How to add and delete any comments from the touch bar. You can add and delete any comments to any of the three touch bar modes in Photoshop, by the way, and you have to follow these steps now. Step number 1. Select the touch bar mode to which you want to add or remove items, and layer properties and brushes or favorites. Step number 2. In Photoshop, select view, then select customize touch bar. And Photoshop invokes the standard macOS operating system interface for customizing the touch bar. For more information about this interface, see customize your touch bar on this Apple documentation page. And step number 3. Drag commands down into the touch bar towards the bottom edge of your MacBook Pro main display. And you can also drag commands within the touch bar to arrange them, and or drag them up and out of the touch bar to remove them. And when you are modifying the touch bar, this icon is meaning space indicates an empty slot where you can add a comment. Like this screenshot now, customize the touch bar. This illustration shows the favorites mode in Photoshop. And be careful here again, please. Be careful, please, now here. Select show typing suggestions if you want to see autocomplete suggestions while entering or editing certain text related inputs such as layer names. And to restore a mode layout to its default state, drag the default set strip down onto the touch bar while that mode is enabled. And number 4, when you have finished making changes, click done, and Mac operating system takes you directly back to Photoshop